floor is yours. Thank you. I represent MMADB company. This is Fort MyScale. And in the company, I organize infrastructure for testing and building our new product, which is not actually new, brand new. It's a proxy server for databases max scale. So by definition, proxy is in between of the client and databases. We have quite complicated configurations when it is inside the replication. This is a very rough picture, just for you to understand. So why is it difficult to test it? In order to test, we need to unfold backend, a big database cluster, some clients. We have to adjust max scale. And then a test application can generate load, do something with backend. So can work with servers. So we need quite a big infrastructure virtual machines to put it on. When we began to work, everything was quite simple. We just decided to describe a dozen of machines and to launch. Then we realized that we needed to test different topology, and we need to work with different providers. So in virtual machines, we can take our hosts, but some other tests require bigger structures, like 25 servers, and it's not possible to put them on one service. So we can take a cloud from Amazon, a DigitalOcean, and we unfold it there. So it's fine. We can write a background file, which will look like this. It's in a Ruby code. Actually, there is a lot of magic in it. We need to describe the access to Amazon. We need to describe each machine. For the test developer, all these things are not readable. The test developer wants to see something very clear. CentOS 7 is installed on Amazon, a certain type of virtual machine with certain memory and requirements. Background requires the description of files where it will be located, and finally, it's absolutely unreadable. So we need to put it into the version control system in order to understand what is going on during tests, how the structure changes. So actually, the author of test comes to us, asks us to write all this for him. But then a person who doesn't know anything about communication with Amazon or Linux, it's quite difficult for such a person to write all this. So we can make a code, but moreover, when we launch 1, 2, 3 machines, background works fine, even directly with API Amazon. But if we need a dozen of machines, one will show us something like that. It happens quite often, and it's not our fault usually. So what do we need to do? To kill configuration, to restart? Well, we need a logic which control everything carefully, and the launching process itself, which is multi-step process, also entails a lot of possible errors. So we need a tool which will help us do all this, which will make some configuration, IP addresses, keys, and the application will just use it. So we decided to separate the description of the test configuration and description of those background boxes, which are actual descriptions of virtual machines, which background can work with. And separately, we can put the description of repositories, where we can put everything needed in backend, and this is what we'll give to our tools, then background file, which will control the launch of all these virtual machines. And for each of this, we developed a very simple description, the name of host, and distributive, and the version of MariaDB we want to put it. MaxScale is another type of product. So that's what is very understandable for testers. They can write all this, and in my team, people check that there are references to the background boxes description, where we can find all the parameters, where we can find these boxes, or in case of Amazon, we can take image identifier. All these tricky parameters are described, the machine type, and so on. So image ID and machine type connection should be very well defined. We cannot take any arbitrary connection. So it's quite difficult to consider all this during our tests. All these parameters are dynamic. And these are repository descriptions, which are supported by MariaDB server commands. So if we launch a new MaxScale or they launch a new version, we can write such a file and put it into the repository of our structure. All this is stored in our code. So this can be stored in MaxScale itself, where tests are kept. All this is connected. And more than that, we need to connect some external party to launch tests. And here we had the choice between Jenkins and Billboard. Billboard is very good with the code from the beginning. Jenkins can allow you to write from UI. Very soon it started to be used with Jenkins Builder, and in MariaDB server, Billboard was used, but for MaxScale, we decided to use a more popular Jenkins tool. It was very easy to start with that, so we decided to try. That's what we got. With UI, it's clear. You cannot write 60 different tasks for different infrastructures in backend. So we started to look for a solution. When we started, we had just Jenkins Job Builder. We did not have anything else, and we decided to get Jenkins Job Builder. It's a tool which can make an open stack. All builds are described there, so we can feed it to Job Builder, and we will have everything in Jenkins. So that's what we had. Our build was launched. We downloaded the code from the hub, and we had to prepare the backend infrastructure. We had to communicate with Amazon to restart something and then to test. So if all this infrastructure is launched and we want to use it several times, well, 20 machines connecting with Amazon, it takes 20 minutes or so, so it's not very feasible. So we launch Jenkins, and then we can run our tests. So we can clean everything, especially with Amazon and DigitalOcean. We have to pay for everything. This is a snapshot. Here you can see how confusing the structure is. So we do not have any universal solution as of today. However, our code can work with all the virtual machines. It is operated with continuous integration system, and we can easily replace Jenkins with something else, or we can modernize Jenkins and get rid of all this. So another problem of Job Builder is absolutely unreal descriptions of all our job parameters. Actually, this is just a list of parameters. Test developer can read it easily. It looks scary, but it's very understandable. So maybe we will switch over to JobDSL. If we remain with Jenkins, then libraries includes will look beautiful. But this decision is not taken yet. It's a matter of future. So what do we have as a result? We have a very simple tool externally. However, the internal logic is complicated. When writing tests, it allows, in a very simple form in JSON, to describe the structure of virtual machines, that it allows us to control their launch. The BCI does all this hard work communicating with virtual machines. We can change the task name, and it will communicate with other virtual machine providers. So you don't have to write these scary blocks in Ruby or in Grunt file. So Jenkins can launch it successfully according to timers, pushes. There are a lot of logins, so it stores logs very well. You can have the whole system for doing this. However, we got confused with our jobs. It's really difficult to work there. So I believe that we will replace it with something else. And another problem is result visualizing. However, Jenkins is just a description of results. However, the backend is different, and the VDB versions are different. The idea is that it works with different versions, VDB and MySQL, and in one file you can combine several tools. So you can switch over between them. So in the report, we have just a list. You don't see all the parameters there, so you will get confused. As for the visualization tool we are going to develop it, we have certain ideas, so I'm ready to discuss it with you. So we have to try both Billboard and Jenkins tools and so on. We developed all this in conjunction with open source lab, and it's here in St. Petersburg in the Electrotechnical University, and together with the Association of Open Innovations Fruit. This simple tool allows us to simplify our work with the test environment. That's all with me. Any questions? Any questions?
Thank you for the presentation. I recommend to try Blue Ocean for your jobs visualization. The second point, pipeline, I recommend them a lot. And we have a lot of builds, EMC builds, and we use Blue Ocean for visualization very frequently. So I recommend it. Okay, thank you. We'll try, unless we go into the billboard. More questions? No questions at all. Probably it's a very specific topic.